Welcome back to another episode of the Aquademia podcast. I'm your host, Justin Grant.
And I'm Maddie Cassidy. And today we are welcoming back Dallas Abel, who was on an episode of Aquademia years ago talking about 100% fish utilization with the Kai Ika project in New Zealand. And we are really excited to welcome Dallas back today because he has a new project that he's working on that we are so excited to hear about.
So, since then, Dallas has launched a new venture called Official Leather, which takes an unexpected part of the fish supply chain, fish skin, and transforms it into high-value leather products.
Super, super cool.
Yeah. As a reminder, if you want to reach out to the podcast for any reason, you can do so by filling out our online form located at globalseafood.org/podcast. You can also follow us on social. We are on Instagram at Seafood Alliance.
And the best way to show your support for our show, if you enjoy this episode, if you enjoy the content that we put out, leave us a rating or review on your podcast platform of choice, because that's the best way for us to get the word out about our show.
And we'll see you at the end.
Welcome to the Aquademia podcast.
Our diet is hurting the environment in myriad ways. I mean, we desperately need to eat more seafood.
This is a pioneering industry with a whole lot of people who have really good ideas and a lot of experience and are unafraid.
Aquademia is your go-to podcast for a fresh take on all things seafood.
Dallas, welcome back to the Aquademia podcast. How are you doing?
I'm really good. Thanks for having me.
We are so excited to have you back on the show. So for those of you that have been longtime listeners, we actually had Dallas on the show a few years ago at this point, talking about 100% fish utilization. And your story has continued to evolve since that snapshot in time. So can you just give us the quick version of your journey from fisheries observer to Kai Ika and now to Official Leather?
Yeah, absolutely. My journey started well beyond Kai Ika and my observer lifestyle. I studied marine science and conservation, and throughout my entire life I was working in sort of aquaculture, aquariums, going into schools, teaching kids about different things that they'll see if they go snorkeling in different areas. And my whole life has been around the ocean and fish. And then the natural progression is to actually take a step up. And I progressed my career as a fisheries observer for the New Zealand government. If people aren't aware what a fisheries observer is, we're basically fish police without any real authority on boats. Our role is to essentially record absolutely everything that happens on board commercial fishing boats. So we'll go there, record what they catch, how they catch it, any potential regulatory breaches, interactions with protected species, and then we send all of our reports back to the office, and then they'll go through the compliance side of things. And throughout that journey of sort of 3 years working on and off boats, sort of 6 weeks on, 6 weeks off, I saw some crazy things out there, as you can imagine. Sort of things that 99% of people will never see in their life, from 3-ton great white sharks being hauled up onto the deck, tons and tons of deep sea corals. Yeah, some crazy things, interactions with marine mammals, seabirds.
Right.
But the craziest thing I saw by far was just the sheer amount of waste. On some of these boats, these are huge deep sea vessels, huge deep sea trawlers. They've got multiple factories on board where they've got these machines called barter machines, where you'll put a whole fish through one side of the machine, and out the other side you'll get skinless, boneless fillets or fillets. And what happens to the rest of that fish? And I was constantly asking that question because these are factories on water, processing these fish. And it really got me thinking about, how not only how we catch fish, how we eat fish, but sort of what we do with the things that aren't consumed, that aren't utilized. There are some vessels that are fortunate enough to have processes on board where they can utilize different parts of the fish, that being meal plants, where they'll make fish oil and fish meal, but that's really low value material. Albeit, they're using the offcuts, which is great. But other vessels that do not have these processors on board, they would literally go straight overboard, never to be seen again. And then taking that process onto land as well, these seafood processors here in Auckland, New Zealand, all around the world, that literally just whacking the fillets off, selling it to the everyday punter. The rest of those offcuts are generally wasted. So throughout that life as a fisheries observer, it just really got me thinking, what more can we be doing with these fish? Because in general, we're consuming 35% of a fish, that being the skinless, boneless fillets, and the rest of the fish is typically wasted. So that didn't really sit too well with me on board these boats. And so after a few years, I jumped ship, quite literally, and joined a non-profit organization where I was running a thing called the Kai Ika Project. In New Zealand, Te Reo Māori, kai is food and ika is fish. And the whole ethos around Kai Ika was utilizing an entire fish. So what we would do is literally collect fish heads, frames, skins, roe, offal, absolutely everything that recreational and commercial fishermen do not want. Rather than them throwing it in the bin, throwing it overboard and wasting it, we would head out with our truck and our crew, collect all these fish heads and frames, and then bring it back to our communities, to different church groups, to different communities here in Auckland and New Zealand. These communities value different parts of the fish for consumption. So here in Auckland, we're a very multicultural city. Different ethnicities value different parts of the fish. And in New Zealand Māori culture in particular, they highly value fish heads. They're actually referred to fish heads as rangatira kai, or the chief's food. And the fish head at a traditional gathering, the fish head is presented to the chief or the most important person at the table as a sign of respect. Yep. So we sort of saw there was this huge gap between recreational fishermen, commercial fishermen who only want the fillets, and then this other community that only want the fish heads for the most part. So we just provide the logistics between A and B, and we sort of just started utilizing these different parts of the fish. And it was a huge operation at one point. We were collecting sort of 2 to 3 tons of fish every single week. And now that continues to rise to sort of 5 tons every week, and servicing different parts of New Zealand. And I think we were quite proud of that and how we could scale that whole operation and not only feed communities, but also educate people, educate the fishermen, the recreational commercial fishermen, educate the everyday person heading into schools, and just teach them that they should look beyond the fillets, look beyond what we instilled in consuming at our retail stores, and how we can utilize an entire fish. So it sort of transformed, from this operational side of thing into an educational piece as well. And I absolutely love that. My background in marine science, conservation, education, I was going into schools, going into fishing clubs and communities. And I did a TED talk here in Auckland as well, which was absolutely amazing. Huge, amazing experience. And we were just teaching people, how to utilize different parts of the fish, showing them recipes, showing them how to make fish fertilizer. If you don't want to eat it, if you don't want to give it away, sweet, pop it in your garden. You can make a homemade fertilizer, or just literally dig a hole and pop it underneath your tomatoes. But make sure you dig it at least a foot deep. Otherwise, the local dogs and cats will come on over. It just turned into this whole educational piece, and I just started looking into what more can we do with fish rather than just consuming it and putting it in our garden. And I just went down this rabbit hole of things like packaging. Fish skins can be used to treat burns. That's been going on for a few years now. And then I stumbled across this concept of fish leather, and I was totally confused at the start of that, because those two words don't really go together in my world. And I just started talking to people who have done it in the past, over in the States there, in Canada, different parts of the world, in Iceland as well. And I just thought, what an incredible product, because I'm also a fisherman down deep, and I still go out fishing most weekends. And I just thought, could we turn fish skin into leather? Number one, would I like to use that? Number two, does it smell? Number three, and I wonder if anyone else would want these products, because I know most fishermen here in New Zealand, the different communities, And yeah, I just started trialing it myself, literally just to make things that I would want to carry around. A couple of wallets
Yep.
here and there, key fob, phone case. And then, yeah, I just thought, wonder if friends would want some. So I started making some for friends and family. And then I thought, oh, okay, we'll see if anyone wants to buy any. Surely not. And lo and behold, people started reaching out, and I started getting quite busy and making all these products. And yeah, I was literally making everything in my backyard, in my garage, collecting fish skins from our local seafood processors up the street, bringing it back, processing it at night because I still had a full-time job, and transforming it into leather, and then actually learning the whole art of creating products as well. So it's not just transforming fish into leather, that's great. But also, if you want a full end-to-end product, I had to learn how to actually stitch again. I haven't done stitching since home economics in high school. So
Yep.
jumping on the sewing machine, learning how to hand sew different products. And then, yeah, this whole project is sort of taking me onto that operational side of things. But deep down, I'm still connected to the whole educational piece. So throughout my website, my social media and everything, I'm just continually trying to help educate people on how they can utilize different parts of the fish at home, how they can make fish leather, how they can take a fish head and have a really succulent garden. So yeah, I'm quite proud of where I've come to this point today, and there's still a lot of growth with my company Official. I don't know if you know the little pun within Official, Ofish. I'm a dad now.
Oh,
yeah, thank you.
That's why I got it.
Amazing. Yeah. Some people hated it at the start, but I knew I was sitting on something really good with that name.
Don't ever change.
I will never change. And then, yeah, it just brings me here to today, and just slowly building out the product line. Now selling different products, not just in New Zealand, in Australia, and in the States as well. That's starting to kick off quite strongly. Specifically around the main fishing states. Florida, people go crazy for fishing down there. So I'm getting a lot of orders from people down in that area, and just constantly trying to grow and get in front of people.
Well, you touched on a lot of things, so I want to dive deeper in a few of those points. So I'm curious what the process is, and I know this was a learning curve for you as well. But what was that? What is the process of actually turning fish skin into leather?
Yes. Good question. And the exact process, no one really tells you how. There's a lot of gatekeeping on specific information, but a lot of Googling, a lot of YouTube, a lot of talking to people, and years and years of sort of trial and error, or years and years, sort of a couple of years of just trying things out and failing and then trying something else. But for the most part, it's very similar to how you would make cow leather or traditional deer leather or anything else. It's collecting the hides, the fish skins, just totally cleaning it. So removing the flesh, removing the scales as well, getting it to a point where it can absorb the tannins. So once it's clean, then you take it through a saline bath, sort of a salt wash, and then a detergent wash as well. So essentially to draw some of the fats and oils out of the hide. And then once you get it to a state, you pop it in tannic acid. And the tannins that you use, that's literally the magic formula. That's what transforms raw hides, whether it be cow, deer, fish. That's what transforms that into actual leather. There's a chemical process that takes place within that, and it literally changes the fibers and everything and transforms it into this pliable, also quite strong leather that you can use and create different products out of. So yeah, it's effectively the same. There are a lot of small nuanced steps along the way, and then drying it out as well. So once it's gone into the tannins and all the magic happens, you need to dry it at a certain pace. If it dries out too fast, it'll become brittle and won't be as pliable. So yeah, sort of dried out quite slowly, sort of stapled out and stretched out, because as it dries, it will tend to want to shrink. So you have to make sure it holds its size. And then after that process, you've got a raw piece of leather. So after that, then you'll want to sort of reintroduce the fats and oils, and you can put in different acrylics and different dyes and colors along the way as well. And yeah, the tannic acid, just touching back on that, there are there's multiple different tannins one can use to transform any hide into leather. Now, 90% of the world leather, traditional leather, is using chrome tannins, which is a heavy metal. But obviously anything heavy metal based is quite damaging to the environment. And the leather industry have struggled for decades, for centuries, on what they do with that material afterwards, that liquid, that solution afterwards.
Right.
And I mean, there's a lot of research into figuring out what they can do with that as well. There's also things called vegetable tannins or veg tanning. And that is literally taking tannins from things like tree bark, kelp, from just different plants and different natural things in the environment, and transforming that into tannins and tannic powder, tannic acid, and then introducing that into the leather. Now, there's a bit of a trade-off between the two tannins. The chrome tanning is super fast, it's a few days, whereas the vegetable tannins can take, up to 6 weeks sometimes, but usually between 3 to 6 weeks. So there's a bit of a trade-off. Likewise, for the different dyes you use, I can go into different detail on different dyes, but there's constant research into finding out the most environmentally friendly, mixing it with what's economical, mixing with what's time efficient as well. So there's still a lot of research, even though we've made
It's a
leather
lot
for
to balance.
centuries. Absolutely. So I'm still trying to find that balance, and still making things here. But I also am fortunate enough to work with different suppliers all around the world, because I'm only a small guy here in New Zealand, 2 kids, and limited time. So now I work with different people around the world, which is great.
I'm curious about the species that you use. So, because this process is like the end goal is zero waste, 100% utilization, I'm curious about what sort of species you have access to. And is that like, do you prioritize what is local to you when selecting what sort of fish you're going to be working with? Or are you prioritizing like this fish is the best for making this fish skin is the best for making fish leather?
Yeah, good question. And I get that a lot. When I go to trade shows, everyone always asks, what fish do you use? And to be fair, I've tried most fish that I can access here in New Zealand. I've tried snapper, kingfish, kahawai, trevally, salmon, bass, harpooker, you name it, and I've given it a try. I've got a few samples here, and I'll take you through a few different reasons why I use one specific species. So this is a snapper, albeit a quite small one. So different species have different thicknesses of their skin, different size, obviously, but also the different size of the scale pockets. Now, although I love catching, I love eating, I love utilizing snapper skins, the challenge I have with something like snapper is it is quite thin, so it turns quite papery and almost like a plasticky. Another challenge I have is the size. So I have to stitch multiple pieces together to turn it into something decent, like a wallet or a phone case. But the biggest challenge I have is the scale pockets that tend to sort of rip and they'll flare out just because they are so large, and the material, the thickness of the skin of the scale pockets, I don't know if you can actually see it there, it tends to dry out quite significantly and flares out and rips, and it doesn't really maintain that traditional, that really premium look. I've tried everything. I've got some kingfish here. Again, a really nice big piece, but the scale pockets aren't very uniform. I've tried bluefin tuna. I went fishing last year and caught a 70 kilogram bluefin tuna, which was amazing. So I took the skin naturally and tried to make leather out of it. The challenge I had with bluefin tuna is the thickness of it, and I didn't really change my recipe. I just threw it in with all the other species. So this was quite unsuccessful just because, I didn't alter my recipe. So it's bluefin tuna season right now. So I'm going to try and catch another one so I can make something really cool out of that. So stay tuned for that one. So there are a few different species that I have tried, but really for all the products that I use right now, sort of while I'm scaling, is salmon. So there's a few different species of salmon, but more specifically Pacific King salmon, just because I have access to that here. And what I've got here is a beautiful, nice piece of Pacific salmon. So there's a few reasons why I use this and I love this. The thickness of it is absolutely amazing. it doesn't dry out, and when it turns into leather, it's quite pliable. So you can see that. So we can use that pretty well. The size of it, obviously, I can get multiple wallets out of this one product. But the biggest thing is the scale pockets. So you can see the scale pockets here, and maybe it's a bit better on this one here, is the scale pockets are all completely uniform. They're all the same size. They don't flare out. So when I turn them into different products, when a team does, into these different wallets and whatnot, it maintains that pattern, that texture, and it maintains that fishy look. So once you put this in your pocket day in, day out, for months, years on end, the scale pockets don't flare out and they don't become damaged. So salmon is my number one, but again, I try absolutely everything.
I guess it's like a double-edged sword in a way, because if you're selling a product, you don't want anything that's tearing or falling apart, obviously. I think having uniform scales has a very clean look, but at the same point, if you find a fish species that maybe doesn't have the unified look but still meets the same criteria where it's workable from your end, sometimes that uniqueness may also tell its own story. I don't know if there's other species you've worked with where you just have really unique patterns based off just because of the fish species.
Oh, 100%. And I totally lean into the fact that each one of my products that I sell on my website, no two are ever the same. Every fish is completely different. Part of the fish that I use is completely different. So I'm really leaning into the fact that these products are all one of a kind. And that does flow onto the different types of fish that I will be using in the future. And you're right. Like, I love snap and I love kingfish. So to be able to offer that to people is sort of the ideal end result. And then just got on a bit of a tangent. The ultimate goal would be for people to catch a fish of their lifetime. 50-kilogram kingfish here in New Zealand is pretty massive. If they could catch that fish, and rather than doing the traditional taxidermy, they can eat the fish but maintain or retain the skins, send me the skins, I'll transform it into leather, I'll turn it into a wallet, key fob, a phone case, a knife sheath, and then send it back to you. That would be the
so
ultimate
cool.
goal.
Yeah, that is such a fun concept.
Yeah, the only challenge I would have is the mailman dropping off multiple fish skins
A
every
giant
day.
fish.
Yeah.
And my fridge be stacked with skins.
Pie in the sky, right? You got to dream
Exactly.
big.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So what has surprised you the most throughout this process of like learning about fish leather, actually working with this new craft that you've taught yourself? Like, what has been the most surprising part about this journey?
The most surprising sort of end result of this whole thing is just the sheer interest in fish leather. Like, I knew it was a really cool product because I'd never seen it before. And as I said, I'm a fisherman and I love the ocean. But just how it connects people with the ocean. It started off as a cool way to utilize different parts of the fish. And then it transformed into this cool thing that's really interesting. And now it's progressing into this space where it's almost like it's a piece, it's a utility to help people stay connected to the ocean. When I'm stressed out at work, or if I'm having an argument with someone, a way to reflect back on those days out in the water, when I'm on the beach or when I'm just hanging with my kids on the boat. My wallet transports me back to those times, those simpler times where I have no worries in the world. I don't have any phone reception. There's no one out there to annoy me, apart from when my kids are messing the whole boat up. But it's turned into this artifact. I can't find the word for it, but this piece just to help people stay connected to the ocean every day, no matter where they go. Sometimes I won't go fishing for months on end if the weather's shocking. So to have something that reminds me of that every day is really valuable for me.
I'm curious about coloring. I don't know if there's a limit to what colors you can dye leather, and or does the fish species, does that affect like what colors you can turn it into?
You can literally just dye it. So once it goes through the tanning process.
Right.
So once the fish skins or the raw skins are in the tannins, they will actually absorb the color of the tannic acid that you utilize. So for instance,
Yeah.
I've got 2 different species here. I've used 2 different types of tannins. So in my right hand is snapper, where I've used veg tannin, where it turns it quite brown and it gives it that natural look. I haven't put any dyes into this. This is literally the skin into the tannins. Whereas
Okay.
our salmon here, I've used chrome tannins for this, and it just depends on the type of tannin. So this specific tannin was a blue color, so the salmon will take that on. But from this stage, you can literally just dye it. You can put it in a bleach solution where it will just remove all the color, and then you can put your filler colors in afterwards. You know, your blue. I've tried pink, purple. I've tried absolutely everything. Personally,
So there isn't limitations.
yeah, you can basically do whatever you want. Personally, I love the natural fish look. You know, that multicolor where you know that's a fish. You know, there's no mistaking that. You can see that distinctive lateral line that runs down the fish as well. So personally, I love that natural look.
I bet most of the customers too that would find you and are interested would probably prefer that as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So Maddie and I have this cool idea. We haven't done this in a really long time, but we want to ask you some rapid fire questions. And I think we should alternate. You okay with that?
Let's do it.
So if you're down with it,
yeah, let's do it.
I want to see how this goes. You don't actually have to answer fast. We'll just read fast, so it seems like we're rushing.
Okay.
And if there's one that you can't think fast enough, just say skip. We'll skip it.
Yeah.
Okay. No worries.
Maddie, I'm going to let you kick it off.
Okay. Most underrated part of a fish.
The fish roe. So that being the gonads of the fish, the fish eggs. Definitely underutilized. You can pop that in the smoker at certain times of the year. In New Zealand, we call them gold bars because when you pull them out and then you put them in the smoker, they turn quite gold, and they are absolutely amazing. On a bit of bread with some butter, amazing.
One seafood industry habit you would change tomorrow.
Sort of looking on the larger scale, this might be a long answer, I'm sorry. So commercial fishermen...
That's a big question.
Yeah, it is. So commercial fishermen, you know, for all the talk about bottom trawling and the destructive fishing methods and stuff that does happen out there, you know, they're deep down, they're a business. So they want to make money, which is totally fair enough. You know, I'm a businessman now as well with fish leather. So our main goal as a business, or one of our goals, is to generate revenue, to generate profits.
Right.
And currently, the only way to make more money is to catch more fish. So if there's one thing that I can change or would like to change within the industry is to sort of flick this switch where we help educate them, and these fishermen, they change their mindset around a whole fish. So rather than just catching more fish to make more money, they can utilize more of the fish they do catch and generate more revenue from one fish. So for instance, I have this really good example. Over in Iceland, they are worlds above absolutely everyone else in the world in utilizing fish, you know, from pharmaceuticals, medical research, packaging, as I said, and fish leather. Iceland have actually reached a system whereby the fish offcuts, what was considered waste, is now more valuable than the fish fillets themselves.
Wow.
So let that sink in. They're generating more revenue.
That is the goal.
100%. So from every industry, as I said, biopharmaceuticals, fish leather, they're creating more value from skins, from the heads and the frames than just this piece of meat that traditionally we would catch fish and just eat that one chunk of meat and throw the rest. Mm-hmm. So if we can flick that switch in everyone else in the world, every other commercial fisherman, you know, to utilize that part of the fish, or even just give it to companies that want to do that. And just look beyond the fillet and just be innovative and think outside the traditional box.
One thing consumers misunderstand about seafood waste, or maybe like a public misconception.
Okay. I like this one quote. Waste is only waste if you waste it. So fish heads,
I love that.
Frames, the roe, you know, we shouldn't consider it waste. It's still a product, and it's literally only waste is if we consider it waste, and it is if we throw it in the bin and actually waste it. So changing this mindset around the everyday person, you know, the whole fish can be consumed rather than just the 35% of a fish. the entire fish, outside of the bones and the offal, can be consumed.
Dream official leather product.
Oh my goodness. I'd really love like a suit jacket, like a little that might take a while. Something really formal, so I can go out on a nice dinner or go to a black tie event and then just have this totally unique fish leather jacket. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
that would be so cool.
Yeah, I was thinking, what sport's really popular? Do you play rugby there, right?
Rugby's
could you
huge here in New Zealand.
I wonder if you could make like a rugby ball.
I've had so many people reach out for different things, as you can imagine. People want to make rugby boots. Someone's asked me for, I think, a soccer ball and a basketball.
No way.
I don't know how that would be, but I mean, I'm game.
Yeah.
If anyone out there wants to make something cool, let's do it.
Okay, what gives you optimism right now?
I think what gives me optimism is the shift within not just the everyday person, but also within politics here in New Zealand and Australia, and I'm seeing it all around the world as well, where they're not only prioritizing budgets and income and economies, but they're also prioritizing the environment. They're wanting to make sure that we can go out and catch a feed of fish now, next week, and long into the future. And we've got this one core message here in New Zealand where we want to leave our fishery in a better state than when we inherited it. So that sort of goes within the recreational community here and slowly flowing onto commercial and into the government. And we're finding more and more politicians are siding with us and they're taking on that ethos as well. So that brings me a lot of hope and a lot of positivity.
And that was it. You made it through. You made it through all the rapid fire.
Sweet. That was an easy one.
So now,
you're going to give me a hard question.
I know. The next time we're gonna have you on for a third time. Once you've finished a rugby or soccer ball or something like that, we need you back on. We need to see that.
Hard
next
questions only.
I'll wear my jacket too. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so a very important question that I'm sure our listeners are going to want to know is where can people find and purchase official leather products, and where is the best way for people to connect with you? So any social channels, contact information, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. It's Official Leather, OFISHAL_leather. You can find me on, Instagram is probably where I'm most active. I'm trying to, as I said before, try to educate people on different ways to use different parts of the fish. But also my website, head on over to official.co.nz. There you can have a look at all the different product range that I have. Again, I ship absolutely everywhere in the world. Starting to blow up now in the States, which is amazing. So I'm shipping almost every day. After this, I've actually got to go package 6 new orders. 5 to Florida,
Wow.
1 to Massachusetts, which is cool.
Oh, that's
Close
our
stuff.
backyard.
Yeah. Oh, sweet. I might have to send you one then.
Yeah.
Head on over to the website and check us out. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we actually checked out your social media recently, and you're kind of blowing up right now.
Yeah.
I had a video, I think last week or the week before, it sort of goes semi-viral, and especially in the States, which is cool.
Yep.
And it's just all those years is sort of starting to pay off, and this whole concept and this whole business is coming to fruition, which is really cool and quite humbling as well.
Yeah, having an innovative idea like this and pairing that with consistency online, it's like that's the recipe, and you're doing such a great job at both of those things.
Yeah,
and a lot of the information that I got before we even did this episode, just by checking out your social channels, Maddie was spot on. You were really doing an amazing job with the educational pieces and just telling the story. And it's I've learned a lot just from watching all those videos. So even some of the questions I asked, I may have kind of already knew the answer just because I've seen you do it in your videos. But we will link to all of those links in the show notes. But I highly recommend that if there's one link people should really check out is your Instagram account, because it is amazing.
Yeah, no, thank you. And, I'm doing everything myself, so there's nothing really flashy about it. There's no high-spec camera and audio. It's literally just raw, almost unedited, me just talking about fish leather, me doing it in the backyard, and I'm just really leaning into that because one, I can't afford a videographer right now. And I just really want to get out as much content as possible. And that's just me and a camera and my fish leather. And sometimes my kids who tend to make star appearances.
Yeah, right. Yeah. When they're not ruining your boat trips by
I shouldn't say ruining.
On the boat.
Just making
when they're being kids on the boat.
When they're being kids.
Yeah, absolutely. I was the same.
I can relate.
Much worse than them.
Yeah, I was worse than my kids. My kids have fun, but I'll tell you, they can clean a room, and then you blink your eyes, and somehow it's worse than when they first started. It's like, how did you guys destroy this room so quickly? It's just, It is what it is.
Yep, they've got this wonderful skill of doing that.
So before we let you go, the last thing I just want to give you, I want to give you an opportunity to get anything else out there while you have the microphone in this platform.
Appreciate that. For us to leave here just with one message is just for people to just think beyond the typical fish fillet. You know, what starts with catching a fish and taking it home and whacking off your fillets and then throwing everything away. You know, there's a whole lot more that can be consumed. And my major ethos here at Official is utilization is conservation. It's very similar to when I was with Kaika. You know, if one fish can feed more families than it has done historically, then we're going to be conserving more fish for the future. And that's one of the main reasons I'm doing this is for conservation side of things. So if we can generate more value within the commercial fishing industry, these commercial fishermen, they don't need to catch more fish to make more money. Therefore, we're keeping more fish in the water, ensuring that environment, that ecosystem can replenish itself, can provide for me, for commercial fishermen, for the environment itself, long into the future. So it's just about generating more value for the environment, for the ocean, and giving it more respect, the respect that it truly deserves.
Perfect parting words. Very well said.
Thank you.
Well, Dallas, thank you for coming back on and joining Maddie and I on the Aquademia podcast for the second time. Hopefully we can get you on for a third. Enjoy the rest of your day. And good luck with your suit jacket. I want to see a video of that on Instagram when it's done.
Yeah, you've inspired me. I'm going to go make a rugby ball right now. Pop my jacket on.
Yes.
But yeah, no, thank you so much for having me and for the opportunity. And yeah, one day I might pop over to the States and come and meet you guys face to face.
That would be awesome.
Oh, we would love that.
Yeah. Well, once you've mastered the rugby, if you ever have an order shipped to New Hampshire, that's me.
Okay. No worries. I'll keep an eye out.
All right. Well, take care, Dallas.
Amazing. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.
Folks, that was our conversation with Dallas Abel from Official Leather. I hope you learned something. Check out our show notes and find all of those valuable links that we discussed in the episode. As a reminder, you can contact the podcast by using our online form located at globalseafood.org/podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Seafood Alliance.
And if you like what you heard today, then be sure to subscribe to Aquademia on whatever podcast platform you listen to us on.
And we'll see you at the next episode.
Bye.
Ciao.